Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships in the continuation of our newer player guide series. I'm pretty excited for this video today. I did like a half-hour video already of the kind of topic I was thinking, and I was like, no, that's too broad. I need to narrow the focus down. So this is a reshoot of that. So in your new player guide journey, or your journey as a player, maybe overall in World of Warships, but I'm thinking of newer players in general. Let's say you've played the game for a couple months now, really enjoying your time playing it, and now you're looking to maybe pick up your first premium ship, or maybe it's your second or third premium ship in the game, and maybe you're wondering what is maybe a good ship for you as a newer player to pick up. So today I am going to do that, and we're going to go ahead and hop into the armory. We're going to be looking at ships for doubloons, and I'm going to give you my top 10 recommendations for a ship for you to purchase in the premium shop, okay? Now, I do need to make note that if you don't play the game very often, maybe picking a ship up is not great for you. And also, I don't necessarily always recommend spending money on World of Warships. I don't spend as much probably as I used to as time has gone on with wargaming. But that's just up to you. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to look at destroyers. So I have 3 destroyers in mind, I have 3 cruisers in mind, and I have 4 battleships in mind. So my top 10. So we're going to look at destroyers first. So the first destroyer that I'm going to pick on the list is the Leningrad. Now this isn't in terms of what I think is the best, but starting off from a lower tier. Leningrad is a lot of fun, just a ball of fun at tier 7. One of the things that makes her quite interesting really is her speed. 43 knots, that's not even including ceramic combat signal, makes your ship going faster, or utilizing the engine boost to be able to draw in closer. She's definitely a ship that revolves more around her main battery. We look at our artillery, they're 130mm guns. She's got 5 of them with a 5-second reload time, but you can see that 180-degree turn time is quite rough. 27.7 seconds for a destroyer is rather harsh, if I might say. When you're looking at the torpedoes, you get 2x4 racks, but their range, that's 8 kilometers. So when you build for the concealment, right, you can stealth torpedo. The reload time on these are 92 seconds, so just over a minute and a half. But she's just a really fun tier 7 destroyer. She can do good even in ops in Arai. She's pretty good in ranked and pretty good in randoms, I would say, in my personal opinion. I've enjoyed playing Leningrad. One of the things with her main battery, it's easier to shoot at longer ranges because it's kind of a common theme among Russian ships is they tend to have a high velocity shell travel time. So your shells get there quicker, which kind of simplifies firing and your aiming to land shells. And you also get a smoke screen. So even when you're dealing with carriers, because you're so fast, you can often speed juke. But kind of, again, that low gun traverse speed is a bit of a pain. But she's definitely a good pick, I would say, for if you're a newer player looking at a destroyer to pick up. The other 2 destroyers I'm going to recommend to you are tier 8 destroyers. We're going to work up from the Kid. The Kid is it's a tier 8 American destroyer, but she's basically a tier 9 Fletcher, but tier 9 Fletcher at tier 8. So when you're grinding the American Tech Tree destroyer line, you have the Fletcher at tier 9, and then you have here, the Kid, but at tier 8. What is really unique about the Kid is that she's definitely a knife fighter. Really does well in taking on enemy destroyers, because one of the things that you don't often see on destroyers is repair party. It's very helpful to heal back damage. I've gotten plenty of dreadnoughts in the USS Kid. She is my favorite tier 8 destroyer, if I haven't mentioned that already, premium destroyer. She's just really good all around. Her AA defense is really good. You can take on tier 8 aircraft carriers really well. Tier 6 you obliterate. Tier 10 you're going to be struggling with, of course. She also gets that good smoke generator. So you can even see Kid in the competitive meta sometimes when they like King and Sea tournaments at tier 8. Not always, but drag out that smoke, has the ability to repair party, and you can choose the engine boost as well. But she has a lack of torpedo armament. She gets 1 rack of 5. I just had to remind myself before I confidently said that. So you only get 1 rack. Often you're kind of hanging on to it unless you know you can guarantee a hit. Your reload time is 122 seconds, so that's over 2 minutes. So that's quite rough. You can get it under 122. Let's say you lost some health, you have adrenaline rush. So usually I hang on to them unless I'm kind of confident I can land. But it's more about the guns. So you're focusing on knife fighting with enemy destroyers. Concealment, I think you can get it down to 5.8, 5.9 if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I can just actually go ahead and look at that real quick. Oh, I'm already doing it wrong on my calculator. So 7.2, we take off 10. So then you'd be 7.2. You know what? I'm just going to throw it up on the bottom of the screen what it is rather than me trying to do math because Flimsy sucks at math. But the guns are really good because they're 3.3 seconds and you can get them down even quicker. And the traverse speed, 180 degree turn time of 5.3 seconds. Much better than the Leningrad. But I just kind of picked Leningrad because she's different in her own right. So to Kid, definitely recommend picking up. The other tier 8 destroyer I'm going to recommend to you is the Cossack. Tier 8 British destroyer. She has high damage per minute with her main battery gun. She gets 4 of them. 4 turrets, 8 guns total. She has the short range hydroacoustic search consumable. So it makes it really great for picking up torpedoes. So that really helps you contest capture zones or key areas. Has a short burst smoke generator consumable, so short action time, quick reload time, but she only has 4 torpedoes that reload just over a minute. So she is a very good destroyer. I think her concealment's 5.5, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm incorrect, I'll put it down at the bottom. So artillery, she gets the 120mm guns, 5-second reload time. You can shave that down a little bit. So you can definitely be smashing enemy destroyers. Again, she's kind of a knife fighter, though she doesn't have the heal like the USS Kid, so you have to be a little bit more mindful with her health. 180 degree turn time on turrets of 9 seconds. Torpedoes, the reload time is 66 seconds. So you can often spam these torpedoes out. You can also single launch them, which is quite nice. Range of 10 kilometers. So that's pretty decent. We're looking at the AA defenses. AA sucks compared to the USS Kid. It's 2.5 kilometer and you're doing very small damage. So you don't play this ship for the AA because it's just awful. Maneuverability is really good on the Cossack. Her rudder shift time is 3.6 seconds. You also get access to the engine boost, so you can go even faster. So you can jukes salvos from coming enemy ships, also sometimes dodge, attack some aircraft carriers. And you'll see Cossack in the competitive meta at tier 8, just because her concealment's so good when you knock it down a little bit more, and how maneuverable she is. So she's really helpful and a very good destroyer at tier 8. So the next I have to recommend for you is we're going to look at cruisers next. So we got 3 cruisers. So let's hop out of cruiser or destroyers and let's go cruisers. I think my first one I'm going to recommend is at tier 7. Yeah. So the tier 7 cruiser I'm going to recommend to you, it's a light cruiser. It's the USS Atlanta. She has high damage per minute. She has access to surveillance radar, which at tier 7 is not common. You see it much more at tier 8 than you do at tier 7. So she's one of the few ships that has a radar at tier 7. Her main battery shells have low armor penetration capabilities, so even her armor piercing, you have to get really close if you were going to try Citadel, enemy cruiser, or something like that. You have short firing range and low survivability. So Atlanta is a light cruiser experience that often where islands are definitely your friend, and also smoke screens if you can utilize them well. So the smokes helps too, because you also have hydroacoustic search. So if enemy destroyer decides to dump some torpedoes in the water, you will be able to hopefully avoid taking any hits. So let's look at the Atlanta. Her armor or survivability 27,500, and this is why her survivability is pretty low. You have a above water citadel. It kind of slopes up here, a little bit sloping in the back. And then you also have some citadel that extends because you're trying to reach harming those 127 millimeter guns, not 152 is what I meant to say. Artillery, so 4.8 second reload time, 180 degree turn time of 7.2 seconds. She has pretty good dispersion. Chances of causing fire 5%. You can buff that up a little bit if you so desire. One of the things also interesting about the Atlanta is that she gets access to torpedoes. So she gets 533 millimeter quad torpedoes, so meaning 4. And she gets them on each side. They have a short range of only 4.5, so let's say there's an enemy ship pushing around an island on you. That's when you're usually trying to dump those torpedoes and take cover, or if you're kind of having to trade or last minute with another enemy ship, you dump your torpedoes. And they do modest damage at 16,600, so that's pretty good here. AA defenses are really superb at tier 8. You can buff the AA damage up even further. I don't own the Atlanta yet, but I really want to pick it up at some point. But she's been in the game for quite some time, and she just holds her own really well. Maneuverability, not bad, 610 turning circle radius, maximum speed 32.5 knots. Concealment, you can get down lower than this. Again, I'll just go ahead and throw it in beneath here what you can get your max concealment down to. So she is a light cruiser with really good guns. It has those high arcs to make it easier to shoot over islands. Torpedoes if you need it when you're close in. Has the radar, so she's definitely a threat to enemy destroyers. So she's fun, but her biggest threat is just being crushed because of how weak her armor scheme is, and she doesn't have access to repair any damage she takes back. So she tends to, in the randoms meta, and make more of an impact in the last half of the game after some enemy ships have been weeded out. I need to move along swiftly. Congress. Let's look at Congress next. Congress is basically a tier 9 Alaska. Looks practically similar, everything. So great damage for salvo, high survivability, repair party consumable available, surveillance radar consumable available, but low rate of fire. And you can see some of the other cons here when you're looking at the ship. But she has access to the 10-kilometer radar, also to the hydroacoustic search, which work really well. Her AA defense is pretty good as well, and you get a repair party at tier 8, which again on tier 8 cruisers it's not as common to find repair parties, so if you make a little bit of a mistake you can heal back some damage, so she's kind of forgiving in that sense. There's your armor layout. I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time breaking things down. What I'm more curious about is we look at the 305 millimeter guns that you have here. So the 305 millimeter guns, these are 12-inch guns that you have. Because this is Alaska, I own the Alaska, I absolutely love the Alaska. If it ever comes back, I do recommend picking it up. But the fun thing about Congress is that she can hold her own really well even at being bottom tiered versus tier 10 ships, because she's got these fantastic guns, repair parties, she's got the 10-kilometer radar, has hydroacoustic search. So she can hold her own. And if you are tier 8 versus tier 6, then you're going to have a really smashing good time with Congress, because she's just OP when she versus tier 6 ships. The range is decent too, 17.5 kilometers. So The A defense, very, very good on the Congress at tier 8. It's not the best at tier 8, but it's good. So you can shrug off tier 6 carriers, but a tier 8 carrier is probably still going to get his first attack off on you. 850 meter turning circle radius. So if you do have to turn in kite or something, you just need to be mindful because you are a bit weak with the armor scheme. I mean, she's a heavy cruiser, kind of battle cruiser, but you still have to pay attention to that with cruisers in general. And a lot of her firepower comes from the front. Rather than having 9 guns, Wargaming decided 7 because she's a tier 9, quote-unquote, Alaska at tier 8. If you have the Alaska or you've seen it, it's very similar in a lot of ways. So a lot of your firepower is in the front because you only have the 2 guns on the rear. So you have to be mindful of that. You can also get her concealment down further, which I'll throw up beneath just so you can get an idea of what you're working with. But Congress works well in trying to be in key zone areas, maybe near capture points you're covering with your radar, supporting your destroyers. And with her 12-inch guns, you can even put her on battleships at tier 8 as well. The other ship I'm going to recommend is a tier 9 cruiser. You can actually pick up this cruiser for free experience. If you have 1 million free XP laying around somewhere, that's where you can pick up the Agir. So I'm going to call it. To my German audience, feel free to correct me in the comments below of how to pronounce the ship. But I think I have 93 random battles played, and I've not hardly spent any free XP. And this is on the EU server. On my main NA server, I've played thousands of battles. But you can kind of get an idea that it's going to take some time to pick up a ship with free XP. But the Agir is one that's very possible to do that with. So let's talk about her. So she's a German tier 9 cruiser. I'd say maybe probably more of like a battle cruiser. High survivability, great damage per salvo. Main battery shells have high armor penetration capabilities. Low firing range, so she's kind of meant to get in close. She's a bit of a brawler. And her accuracy is not the best. So let's consumables. You have the hydroacoustic search, very helpful. And again, you get a repair party, so it's very forgiving. I had a really good Agir battle a week ago, and I'm really thinking that I need to do an upgrade and commander build video on this ship and give you my thoughts. So the armor layout, let's strip some of the armor away. She's got the turtleback armor scheme, surprise, surprise. So it really helps protect the citadel. So even at close range, it's basically impossible for enemy ships to punch through the citadel. It's more something at range, coming down, punching through the turtleback at the right angle, or maybe even through the deck to hit your citadel. But she's a very tanky tier 9 cruiser. 62,850 health. Like something like the Massachusetts tier 8 battleship has 66,300. So you're kind of a tier 8 health pool almost for a battleship. Her artillery, she's got 12-inch guns as well, 305mm, 20-second reload time, 180-degree turn time of 30 seconds. If you like the Scharnhorst, then you're probably going to like the Agir. Main battery firing range, 18.5 kilometers, so it's not even that bad at tier 9. One of the fun things is that she gets torpedoes. She gets 2x4, these 533mm torpedoes that reload every 90 seconds. Maximum damage 13,700, so there's other torpedoes that hit harder. But they have a range of 6 kilometers, 65 knots. So you're using these kind of pushing up on an enemy ship, so it'll take them out. A defense, 6 kilometer. It's actually not bad when we're looking at the continuous damage and damage by shell explosions. So that's good. Her maneuverability, 33.5 knots, make fast with the Sierra Mike flag, so maybe closer to 35. Turning circle radius, 880 meters, 14-second rudder shift time. Concealment, although with what you can get the max concealment to down beneath. but starting off 14.7, it's not terrible. One of the things I meant to talk about was the secondary battery. So you can see that you can maximum range of 8 kilometers, and we can get that out even further with these 128mm guns. It's got 9 of them on the ship as a whole, so you're gonna have what should be 4 on each side, and then 1 here on the rear. So you can get some secondary action going on here with the Agir for a cruiser at tier 9. So I do recommend picking that ship up. Now for the battleships. So I have 4 battleships to recommend, and I'm going to do my best to go through them at a decent pace. The Dunkirk. I have the Dunkirk. I have the Dunkirk B on my NA server account. Very, very good ship at tier 6. I'm going to show you kind of highlighting 2 different tier 6 battleships here. One of the things is that she has very weak armor. You would definitely be punished if you get caught out broadside. Her main battery is really fun. It's all in the front. We'll look at the size of those guns. High rate of fire. You have a repair party at the tier 6 in fighter or spotter. And she's very fast, has a good top speed. So when we're looking at the Dunkirk, let's look at that armor layout. Show you where the Citadel is. So it is above water, some type of turtleback armor scheme going on with looks like to be some spaced armor. But if you get caught out broadside, you will definitely be punished. So you got to be mindful of that. Her artillery, they're 330mm guns. So that means these guns would be 12.9, so basically 13-inch guns is the way to think of them. They're really good. They have pretty good penetration capacity. The accuracy is not so bad either. 26-second reload, 108 return time of 36 seconds. You have really good HE and armor piercing. HE, 35% chance that you could even buff up a little bit more. Her secondaries is 5 second with 5.6 kilometer, which could be a little bit more. This isn't made for brawling. You want to build more towards the survivability of the Dunkirk because of these 8 guns being on the front of the ship. On the rear, it's just a secondary. So oftentimes you are sitting, you want to be more bow in, maybe slightly angled. That's how you want to be able to position yourself. And since she's kind of weak, if you get to utilize islands pushing in, it's helpful. Her A defense is it's nothing great per se, 6 kilometer. But when you're looking at the continuous AA damage, we can see here damage short range 105, damage medium range 25, damage long range 84. So bit more damage, I think, if you have an enemy carrier who flies into your flak, your shell explosions. It's very helpful. But overall, she doesn't have fantastic AA. When we're looking at her maneuverability, 29.5 knots. You can make that fast with your mic flags. Let's say over 31 knots. At tier 6 is really good because there's like something like West Virginia goes like 22, 23 knots. New Mexico, super slow. So she's a very agile, fun battleship to play at tier 6 that I really enjoy. Concealment, it's rather large at tier 6, 16.4. You can get that down, of course, as well. I'll throw the max concealment in beneath here. But overall, Dunkirk is very fun. If you're trying to get outside of that slow, dreadnought, tier 6 battleship, Dunkirk is a kind of a refreshing way to switch things up here. The other ship I want to recommend to you is the Warspite. I really need to pick up this ship. I have not done so yet for some reason. She is a very well-known historical battleship for the British Navy, the Royal Navy. Her AP shells do not ricochet out the plating of ships of an equal tier because they're 15-inch guns. You don't tend to find 15-inch guns at tier 4. 14-inch are much better. High firing accuracy, very accurate guns, and high maneuverability. So very good. Let's see here. Survivability, main battery, low damage per minute. Repair party and spotter plane. When we're looking at the ship a little bit more closer. She's not a very long battleship, which is kind of interesting. You smash cruisers at tier 6 with these 15-inch guns. So she's quite trollish in that manner. Looking at her armor layout, she's got a lot of armor going on. Let's strip some things away. And her citadel looks to be waterline citadel, so interesting. Artillery, so 381 15-inch guns, 4x2. I think the fire chance, yeah, 34%. AP, just wreck ships. Her secondaries, you don't build her for secondaries, you build her much more around survivability for her main battery. AA defense is 5.8. It's okay. AA, it's not great. There's other battleships at tier 6 that have better AA. That maneuverability, turning circle radius of 550 meters, so it's even better than the Dunkirk. 23.5 knots, you can probably get closer to 25 with Sierra Mike flag. Rudder shift time, 14.2 seconds. So you're very agile tier 6 battleship. So Warspite's kind of fun with that, in addition to her guns. Especially when you're looking at her superstructure, she doesn't necessarily look like a tier 6 battleship. She looks something a little more futuristic. Detectability range by sea, I'll throw down a max concealment beneath, but you can get superb concealment here with the Warspite. All in all, very good ship that I still need to pick up. I have 2 more ships to talk with you. I'm going to try to do my best to keep this at, if I can find what I'm looking for. Hopefully I can keep it underneath 30 minutes. Scharnhorst. If you like playing the Scharnhorst and you like playing the Agir, if you like playing the Agir, you're going to like playing the Scharnhorst. She's a brawling battleship. High survivability, torpedo armament, high rate of fire, very good secondaries at tier 7. She's good in ops in Narai. She's good in ranked at tier 7 ranked. But she has low damage per salvo. Repair party, and then either the spotter or the fighter plane. When we're looking her over here, very gorgeous. I had the Scharnhorst B, the black version, on my NA account. Let's look at the armor layout. So she also has the turtleback armor. So nothing's going to citadel her up close. Has to be further away. Her citadel is waterline citadel. So that's very nice here at tier 7. The artillery, you have 283 millimeter guns. So 283 millimeter guns would be 11-inch guns. So if you face off against tier 9 battleships and randoms, or even cruisers, you're probably going to be relying much more on your high explosive, which have a 20% chance of causing fire. But reload time, 20 seconds, 180-degree turn time, 25 seconds. Your secondary armament, you can buff out. I think you can get it over 9. No. Okay, maximum range 6.3. I think we can get the secondaries out, yeah, over 9 kilometers at tier 7. So she's very fun in that regard. 19.9 kilometer range, so that's not bad. Your torpedoes, you have a rack of 2x3. They have 6 kilometer range. One of the things you have to note, if you play the Scharnhorst, you often want to take preventive maintenance, just because a lot of people focus on shooting your superstructure, and your torpedoes are along the superstructure. So keep that in mind. Her A defense is okay. It's all right. It's nothing to brag about. It's 5.2 kilometer range. Maneuverability, 800 meters turning circle radius. You can get up to 32 knots maybe with the Sierra Mike flag. 14.5 second rudder shift time. She's a bit longer and slender, but she's pretty fun tier 7 battleship to play. And I can throw her max concealment below, but you're probably building more for secondary, so you might not have concealment expert on your commander. Okay, and then I think the last ship that I recommend to you is actually another German ship. Now, I have not played the Pommern, but the Pommern is just such a good ship overall. When I've had to fight against it, and from what some of my clanmates tell me, just really good ship overall. So she has torpedo armament, very good secondaries, high survivability for a tier 9 battleship. She has the enhanced hydroacoustic search consumable, so then you should be picking up ships 6 kilometers away. Torpedoes, maybe those are like 4 kilometer detection radius, can't remember. But what you have here with the Pommern is 380 millimeter guns, so they're 15-inch guns, but you have 12 15-inch guns, so your accuracy is not going to be as great to kind of balance that out. So repair party, hydroacoustic search. So let's go ahead and go in. When you're playing ranked, if it's only tier 9, or let's say it's tier 9, tier 8 ranked, Pommern is one of the top choices, just because she's just such a beast. When you're looking at her armor layout, she's also going to have the turtle back armor scheme, which I just took away. So it's sloped a little differently. So close range, a lot of shells are just going to like hit, bounce up into the superstructure. Takes more something at range to punch through and break through and hitting to her citadel. Her survivability, very good, 81,900. Torpedo protection, 25%. So our artillery revolves around these 12 380 millimeter guns. You have 2 in the front, 2 turrets on the back. Secondary armament, fantastic here. You can buff that up. I think I'll have to look. I'm not sure what the maximum range of the secondaries on the Pommern are. Very good. Maximum range 21.3. Torpedoes, 6 kilometer torpedoes. Reload in a minute and a half. They are located along the superstructure. So again, preventive maintenance to help keep your secondaries, keep your torpedoes protected, just because with a lot of shots being fired to superstructure, often they can be knocked out, and your torpedoes are often a trump card when you're having to push in and deal with an enemy ship. AA 5.2 kilometer, again, nothing fantastic here, but it's all right. Maneuverability, not as hot, 940 millimeter 940 meter turning circle radius. Maximum speed, you can get up over probably close to 33 knots. Rudder shift time, 17.3 seconds, so a bit longer than the norm. But she is a pretty large ship. Concealment, I can put the max concealment below again. However, you're not building probably for max concealment because you want to build more into fire prevention and the secondaries with the ship. But Pommern is a fantastic tier 9 battleship. Good in ranked, good in randoms, and she can just dish out a lot of damage in control zones. One of the things, for example, you might see a lot of Georgias in ranked. Pommern essentially trumps the Georgia in the sense that Georgia can't push in when there's a Pommern sitting on the flank. Because if you push in, Pommern's going to be like, yes, I'll push in against you too, and then dump torpedoes and kill you. So you have to play wisely when there's a Pommern in a ranked match. But those are the 10 ships that I'm going to recommend to pick up if you want to pick up something for doubloons. I should have also mentioned real quick, sorry this video is going a little longer than I wanted it to. You get this coupon. You get 2 every year. Basically, each coupon lasts 6 months, then it refreshes. You get 25% off, so you may have noticed when we were looking at the ships. So, yeah, let's just say Congress. You can see it's the coupon sitting there. So instead of 11,300 doubloons, it's 8,475 here. So this means this ship is cheaper to pick up in the armory than logging into the premium shop online. So keep in mind that you have this coupon because it can save you money. And then the end of the year, Wargaming will throw out, like Christmas time, Wargaming throws out some additional, like, I think they're like 20% coupons, or they might even throw out some others from time to time to pick up ships for doubloons. So you can typically always pick up a doubloon ship with a coupon if you're just paying attention to the time and season. So alright, so that is going to wrap this video up. So I hope you appreciated some ships that I'd recommend if you're a newer player, ones I'd be comfortable recommending to you as a newer player, and looking at some through tier 6 through tier 9 ships. So hopefully you find it helpful. Again, this is just a list of ships that, just my personal opinion, your opinion and mileage may vary. So If you liked today's video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you did not, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you're subscribed, thanks so much. I really appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time. Take care.